Welcome. My name is Welly, and I'm joined today by my esteemed colleague from EXP, Kevin. We are two personal estate agents, and today Kevin and I are going to be discussing the benefits to a homeowner using a personal estate agent. Kevin has been with EXP slightly longer than myself, and the last time I checked, Kevin, you have amassed an impressive 78. I'll say that again. 78 five-star Google reviews just by himself. So there is quite literally no one better and no one more credible to discuss the benefits of a personal estate agent than Kevin. Kevin, welcome.
Hi there, Welly. Nice to see you. It's actually, if you include all the social medias, 92 five-star reviews. I just like to blow my own trumpet now and again.
I
That's it.
see. I see. I guess those extra are from all of the different platforms, not just Google.
Yeah, absolutely. But
So
that's just like a signpost for people. It's my way of marketing in terms of telling people don't believe what I tell them. Go and look at my reviews and check them out. Excellent. Yeah.
So you've been doing this a while. You've been doing this with EXP, as I mentioned from the outset, a lot longer than me. You've spoken to a number of homeowners, successfully sold a ton of properties where perhaps you've been the second, third, fourth agents, and where the traditional agent have been there before you. Could you maybe explain, the idea of using a self-employed personal estate agent still feels quite a novel idea here in the UK. And there might be some homeowners out there watching this that may or may not be sure what a personal estate agent is and whether they'll be losing anything in terms of service. Can you perhaps explain from your perspective just some of the benefits of using a personal estate agent like us versus a traditional high street agent?
No problem. I went self-employed. August this year will be 6 years ago. Uh, many years experience working for traditional high street estate agencies, independent agencies. Um, I don't think that my own service has changed in as much from them because I would always like to have given my all wherever I was working. I think that the main difference to me going self-employed is the ability to have more time and spend more um, time with owners to understand what their needs are, what motivates them to move, what problems they might encounter, and literally to be there for them along the journey, which is why the reviews are important to me because they will basically justify what I tell people. I spent time working on the high street, and there's nothing wrong with the corporate service that people offer. Let's just say one size doesn't fit all. So there will be people that are quite happy to go with the name they recognize, um, or they'll come along to someone like us where they prefer to have someone there all the time by their side to guide them through the process. What you said about going in second, third, and fourth agent is not my norm. Vast majority of my owners come through recommendations, referrals, and a lot of social media networking. And I find that people have gone down the traditional route, um, met someone at the property who promises them everything they want. They go, then someone else takes over. Then there might be someone else who's not experienced that comes and does the viewings. Then they get passed on to someone who does sales progression, maybe is not versed with the property, doesn't understand it. And nothing wrong with it because agents work to targets and they want to get properties through. But I know I've been to properties where, had I been working in my old role, I just wouldn't have been able to devote the time needed in order to sort of keep people happy, let them understand. A property that is actually completing tomorrow, I've probably been round to that property, I wouldn't like to say how many times, 30, 40 times during the sale, just to basically overcome, can you answer this question? Can you help us fill out this form? Can you tell me where we're going to do this? Can you recommend X? And it's the time I get to now being as, I don't like the term personal agent. I'm an independent self-employed agent that I've value personal service, and my clients value that personal service as well. It's, it's a journey that people go on when they sell the property. It starts off with the initial viewing at the property to meet these people. Now, I know when I was working for a bigger company, I didn't have the time to sit and go through everything. My day was mapped out to go and see six, seven, eight properties. I had to get in and out, give them a price, tell them what we do, and that was it. And then obviously you hope that you're going to get the journey, the job done because of like follow up, whatever else. I find now I might see three or four properties a week. I know that I've booked out 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. I know it's the first meet up that we're going to sit down and discuss why they bought the property, what the property means to them, what's motivating them to move, what are their needs in terms of moving, how do they like to interact with people, what kind of service are they looking for? And we tailor it to their needs more than an agent who's busier than me can offer. And obviously, that's just the start of it, because then there's the time spent on getting the photos right, getting the video right, getting the description correct. Then I'm available to do all the viewings. So because I've got the history of the property behind me, I will know the property inside out on that viewing. I'm not going to be someone who's just employed on a Saturday to open a door and say, here's the lounge, and that's the kitchen, and there's the garden. My job is to take people through the journey of the property as if it was the owners telling them, this is why we bought the house. That picture there means a lot to us. This is where you can put your telly. This is where you put your seats, and this is where you eat, and this is how you entertain in the evening. And it's putting people into a property that they feel they're taking ownership of. So you've got that link with the owners from the minute one to do the viewings. Then you've got the negotiations. Then you've got the sales process and the conveyancing. So I'm with people from the minute we meet right through to the point we hand the keys over. So I've got a connection with the people. They've got a connection with me. Then I look at my reviews and it tells me that I'm doing something right. And that's what they enjoy. And it's down to people's own preferences. A lot of my clients haven't moved or sold a home for 20, 30, or even longer, 40 years. People take it for granted. Oh, who do we choose? Which agent are we going to go to? They don't know what to expect, and you could be misguided down the wrong route. So someone who's got time to look after you, to explain everything, and I know I'm not going to get every property because you've got to match up with people, but I've got more chance of helping people along that journey by taking the time and communicate. And communication is one of the worst things that we have in agency, that people are left floundering. They want to get hold of someone to know what's going on. That agent is not in that day. The next person doesn't know what's going on because it's not their property, etc. Whereas people contact me 11 o'clock Saturday night. I've had 8 o'clock Sunday mornings,
Mhm.
10 o'clock in the evening during the week. Obviously, you can choose to take it, but I know if it's important to them, it's important to me.
Yeah,
And
well
you
said.
probably experience it as well.
Yeah, well said. I mean, that's exactly what we have to do as personal estate agents, or independent estate agents. Just a question on that, if you don't mind, Kevin. So, in order to ensure that your service levels are not compromised and that all of your sellers and buyers receive an equally high service, do you only work with a finite number of properties at any one time?
Yeah, it's not a conscious decision. I think it ends up being that way. Um, I know on my level, I haven't got, excuse me, I don't have a shop front, so I'm not visible. So I don't get the casual, we're thinking of saying, I want to get a valuation. Um, I'm not set up for high volume and I don't really want to be. I've been working in the industry for 38, 39 years almost now. So I know the levels that I can cope with. So I would manage at any given time 12 to 15 properties. Any more than that, then my time gets split, diversified, and you can't give the attention, which is what I promote myself to each individual. Um, it is a journey people go on, and it's very personal, and it can be very stressful. and they're selling the biggest asset they probably own. So they need someone that they know they can rely on, that's not just going to go for numbers and KPI targets and to get as much as you can. I know that if I serve these people right, then
Mm.
my numbers will show up in the long run. So my modus operandi when I started this was to do estate agency, but different and better. The service I can offer people now is not based on how many properties I can get on the market. If I can get one or two properties a week and I sell one or even two properties a week, that serves me very well. That means I can offer a far better professional experience for somebody who's looking to sell. Because after all, this is all emotional and it's supposed to be a happy move. But when it gets to the point where it becomes stressful and buyers start coming up with questions you can't answer, and then there's chains or agents are not ringing back and the communication is poor, that's when you get the agitation. That's when people start thinking estate agents are very poor. They don't offer service and they don't offer value for money. As I said, I go back to the reviews and I put a lot of credence on that because that to me is where I point people to the direction of if they turn around and say, don't know who you are, Kev. I
Yeah.
know you've been working in the industry a long time. I know you've worked for big names, but how can you operate now from an office, not on the high street? And then I show them these people that have experienced it, that have trusted me, that have used me, and they put in words exactly how I operate.
Yeah.
And obviously, when I meet people, it's an interview. I go around their house and we sit and have a chat and we see if we're a fit for each other. That's not to say I take every property on the market because there'll be some properties I will turn and say, I can't service this one. I can't give you what you're looking for. 99% of them I will do. And once they've met me and we get a relationship going and they understand how I work, and understand that they're going to be put to the top of the pile. They're not going to be just left. A lot of what we do is we're on the phone or we've got to be out there. We've got to be proactive. When I first started this, I thought I'm going to get a better work-life balance. I can work when I want. I can take time off. In fact, you work more hours
100%.
because you set yourself up to be this individual personal agent, and you're literally at their service. But then you keep it within boundaries that you can work with on a day-to-day basis that is going to benefit people and myself. Um, and it will evolve into something which is what I've got now, which is a business level where I've got a number of sales going through. Um, you can communicate effectively all the transactional parts that go in it. When I take a new property on, which I'm going to tomorrow, going to see one, I know it's going to take me time to go around the property. I know that I'm going to take the photos, do the videos, do the floor plan, do the description. And when I'm happy with all that, I'll send it to the owners to sign off. But that is what they want. That's the demands. When you're looking at things now, people put a lot of credence on service as opposed to paying the cheapest fee. You pay cheap, you get cheap. And at the end of the day, as long as people can see value for money and they know they're going to get looked after and they know that their property is going to get sold within a reasonable time and looked after, it works all round.
Yeah. I guess your reviews is your proof of concept essentially. So that's the reason why you place a huge emphasis on your reviews, and so you should. You worked very hard to amass all of those reviews. A question I had as well for you, Kevin, is how do you deal with homeowners who have a nervousness around instructing a solo agent who believe that by instructing an agent like you or I, they are or they believe they are compromising on a particular service, that there's something that they're going to be leaving on the table or perhaps not getting that they would get with your traditional shopfront agent.
Yeah, understandable. I think it's down to personalities. People do business with people they like. People buy off people that they like. When it comes to walking into someone's home who's never met any agent, and they might choose three or four to come around their property, it would be down to them to choose the person that they form a relationship of trust. Who can I trust to look after me to sell my property? Okay, I like you. Now, what do you offer? So, as an individual agent, self-employed, I'll do exactly the same and more as any agent in the high street, and probably more.
Yeah, more.
You'll go on Rightmove, you'll go on the market, you'll go on Zoopla. I do a lot of social media advertising
Yeah,
on Facebook and Instagram. And believe me, people see that. A lot of agents don't. You get a floor plan automatically, which a lot of agents don't bother with. And I'll do a video. I'll do a walkthrough video where people can see the property with a few comments added, and it brings the property to life a lot better. There's contact, there's follow-up, there's communication. And I say I point them to everything that they've seen, plus the experience that I've got. I can deal with any situation that comes up on a sale or
you've
any
seen it
query
all.
they've got.
You've seen it all.
I wouldn't say I've seen it all,
Yeah.
but
Pretty
maybe
much.
I've done a bit. Yeah, I've been around a long time. When I started, we didn't have calculators, let alone computers. Old. Um, so I think it's important to remember that we're not there by right. We have to earn that listing. We have to go in and tell people um, or show people exactly what you can do and what you will do for them. And when you actually tell people what you're going to do, you have to deliver. A lot of people will promise the earth and they don't deliver, which is why then the agents then would lose the instruction because they were promised everything at the beginning.
Yeah.
And as it transpires, they weren't able to deliver
There's
through
no,
either overvaluing, overpromising, or not having the ability to deliver what they said they were going to do. So I keep it within the realms of credibility in terms of saying, look, this is the realistic value you're going to get for your property compared to what else is on the market, compared to what's been sold. Show the vendors how that value works. I would explain how I work in terms of, I'm here 24, I'm not here 24/7. I'm
mm.
available 7 days a
Money
week, but
penny is
most,
though.
say that
Money
again?
penny, money penny is though.
Yeah, we got like
Ha
a
ha
money
ha.
penny answering service. We'll answer the phone. We'll send me emails. So I'm never incommunicado. But I say to people, look, reasonably, you can get hold of me when you need me. And because I've got the experience, I can say deal with any situation they come with. Yeah, as I said, we don't get the properties by right, so you have to prove yourself. You have to show that you're competent in what you're delivering. You have to show that you've got the ability to sell what they're selling. You've got to show them that you've got the marketplace to deliver the viewings that they want. Then you've got to show that you've got the ability to negotiate, get the offers accepted, and get the offers increase the offers to bring the
Yes.
offers up to a price that the owners want to accept. And you've got
Yes.
to show that you've got the experience in transacting a chain and dealing with solicitors. So along with the experience brings me lots of many contacts in terms of solicitors, surveyors, networking. I can deal with so many professionals in the network groups that I belong to. So I can cover all bases and probably more bases than
Yeah.
somebody just walking into an estate agency office who will meet someone who's probably got 10, 20 things going on at once, who gives you the time of day, books them, and they're like that because they've got so many things to worry about. I haven't. When I meet someone, that person is my sole focus.
Yeah. They are the front and center of your universe. Totally agree.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and it works that way. And it works for me. Um, I don't want to overcrowd my diary. I'm looking, I've got to, after this meeting, I'm going to collect some keys, completion tomorrow. Going to meet
Nice.
the owners there. They promised me a whole crate of coffees that they bought for me, cold
Lovely.
coffees, which I like. I've got to go and collect the flowers from the florist to deliver to them as well. They get a nice branded candles, their new move. It's the little touches which I think people don't realize. We live in a society
Yeah.
where you've got a lot of people trying to get into a estate agency who think it's an easy ride. You've got so many tools around. You've got AI, you've got chat, you've got this, you've got that. I think the marketplace that I deal with are people that have been around a long time, been in a place a long time, and that might bypass them a little bit. They're looking for something a bit more. They're looking for that human touch. They're looking for that someone that they can meet up with that's going to give them the time, it's going to look after them and make sure they get the best service they can ever get. And that's what I deliver.
Yeah, I mean, I was having this conversation literally on the weekend with with a homeowner who was asking me whether I feel threatened or whether the industry feels threatened by the emergence of AI. And as far as I'm concerned, certainly in the short to medium term, I don't see any threat to our roles from AI. Yes, AI exists and it's there and it's beneficial and it's helping to drive efficiencies. I'm sure you use AI day to day, but one thing about a state agency is you're not in the property business, you're in the people's business. So AI, well, certainly, as I said, in the short to medium term, there is no threat to our roles. People still desire, still need that
Yeah.
human interaction. The experience that you and I both have. Having that skin in the game. You know, seeing almost every single scenario, wearing the t-shirts, and understanding exactly how we would deal with those issues as and when they arise, and essentially protecting the vendor's equity. All of those things are vitally, vitally important.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I agree.
yeah,
If I was using AI,
yeah,
I'd get a better looking, younger version of myself.
yeah,
I get hi there.
sure.
No, I think you embrace it. It's like when things like social media first started,
Yeah,
when people were like getting onto social media back in the early 2000s. At that point, then it was like, what did you have for dinner? Where did you go last night? you know, where are you going tomorrow night? Did you see that on telly? And that evolved. And it's evolved into community groups, it's evolved into videos, it's evolved into so much more. So I spend a lot of time in the community groups, and it's a platform. It's if you think of like using technology like that, that used to be like you put a board up outside a property, and Mrs. Smith down the road would look at that and say, "Oh, my son would like that." You use technology, use Facebook, use Instagram on that basis, that are using it as a platform to show off what you've got, to tell people what you do, to give advice and to help people along that journey. And you do
yes,
it continuously, people would recognize you. And by seeing your face and your brand and what you've got to deliver on a constant basis, that's when it builds up the recognition and the trust element,
absolutely.
which works for me. But yeah, definitely more technology is going to come into it. But as you say, I think it still needs someone to push the buttons,
Oh,
and it's
100%.
someone who knows, who's been there, who's done it. Um, sometimes I think, right, I've been in the business a long time, but then there's a lot of experience. I've seen a lot of different markets. I've seen a lot of different
Yes,
recessions.
yes, well
I've seen a
said.
lot of trends in the market. So
Yes,
there's a lot of knowledge that I can pass on to people in terms of like, well, what do you do in this scenario, Kev? What do we do if that happens? What do we do if that happens? So I can explain and tell them, more importantly, how you can overcome that. So if you
absolutely.
can, if you can take the questions on board and give people answers and show them how you can overcome any conditions or any objections and find the route round it, it builds up your credibility, builds up your trust element, and that's when people start to think, okay, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. This is when you get the instructions to help them sell.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing I just wanted to touch on as well, just um, going back a few steps, you mentioned about accountability. So, do you want to just speak a little bit about the accountability piece and how important that is?
Okay, we'll take a step back. Most people's view is that all estate agents are the same.
They're not.
Yeah, they think that, oh, you're an estate agent, all you do is you put the property on Rightmove, people will see it, you'll book a viewing, and it will sell. And that's how people initially have the thoughts trained by media, other people. Yeah, this agent did this agent did that. Just give it to the cheapest, and someone will find it, and that will be it. So accountability, I suppose, in accountability, apart from my wife, who tells me what I should do. No, she doesn't, bless her. You go into a person's property by invitation.
Yeah,
So you are professional. You've got to come across as professional, and you've got to deliver a story to show them how everything is going to work. Um, Accountability to me is a promise to be there for them, to look after them. I'm not going to sign them up on a long-term contract. My contract is basically 0 weeks.
Yeah,
If you're happy with what I'm doing and you can see results, you'll stick with me. If you
absolutely.
don't like what I'm doing and you want to change to go down to a different estate agent, that's fine. Just give me 7 days notice and that's it. So you're not tied in for 16 weeks, 20 weeks, or whatever it is, and then another 28 days to wait. So accountability to me is if I don't sell that property, I don't eat from my point of view. So looking at it from our side, what am I going to do to offer the best service I can to make sure the owners stick with me and they can see results? And from my point of view, it's making sure that you are prompt on what you say.
Yes,
You um, you under promise, over deliver. Over promise, under yeah, under promise, over deliver.
always.
You're a lot of people that I hear when you say about other agents and you've taken a property off another agent, it's like, well, we haven't had a viewing in 6 months. I've had a situation where I've had a property on the market. Um, It'd been on the market for a year. And I went round and spoke to them. And I said, I can't understand your property's been on the market for a year. It was 11 months actually.
Blimey.
And they went with agent A, and the price at the time, I think they put it on the market was at 500,000. Doesn't matter what the house was.
Sure.
500,000, and in 6 months they had no viewings. I said, I can't believe you were with them 6 months, no viewings, and you didn't actually make a big hassle of it. Didn't
Yes,
say it.
yes.
Well, the agent told me that the market was poor and it was this, it was that. But we eventually changed. Okay, so I went to a second agent after 6 months. Second agent said price needs to come down to 450. Put it on the market. 5 months later, no viewings. And I said, exactly the same. So they were sitting there, what do you think about our property? So I basically showed them comparable properties around the area that were either still on the market or
Hmm.
properties that had sold during the period they'd been on the market that were a whole lot lower than the prices they've been quoted. I said, everything is price driven. That still holds true today. I said, these are the examples of properties that have sold around you for what you've got. And the prices were all around 400 to 425. And I put that in front of them, and they said to me, do you know what? We thought that.
Yeah,
We thought it was overpriced all the way through, but we trusted the agent.
of
We
course. Yeah.
believed what they told us. They said, no, it's the market. Don't do that. So we didn't want to create a fuss.
And
So
they
I said,
wasted.
this is where, there's houses on the market now, similar to
Yeah,
yours,
yeah,
that are less than 400. Let's put it on the market. We do use a guide price, which was 400 to 425.
yeah.
Photos, videos, everything was taken, put it on the
Let me
market,
guess. Let me guess. You sold it.
8 days. Two people
Funny,
wanted it.
funny that. Yeah,
And
there
it
you
and
go.
and, and it's not going in, it's not being clever after the event. And it's
No,
not
no,
saying,
no,
oh,
no.
you just reduced the price. You just basically opened up people's eyes. A lot of agents will go in maybe with, and look, it's not a criticism of agents, because if that's what they think and that's what they've been trained and that's how they believe they get properties on the market, that's up to them. I go into a property with a value in mind, knowing where the market is for that range of property prices. So I know within a band where I'm going to be on prices. Another one I went to about a month ago, I was the third agent in, and they said to me, what do you think it's worth then? I said it's around 700 to 750. And they said to me, oh, you're right in the middle. What do you mean? So we
Yeah,
had we had one agent who said, come around and put it on for 800.
yeah.
And then we had another agent who said, put it on for 600. That's £200,000 difference.
Difference. It's crazy. I mean, with me, I'm still being called in as the second, third, fourth agent. Um, and I often ask homeowners, you know, as we know, the number one reason why property doesn't sell is price. There are other reasons, but the main reason, as we both know, is price. And when I ask homeowners, how did the agent you instructed arrive at the evaluation? What comparables did they show you? Because I'm very prepared. I go in extremely
And by
researched,
comparables, you're talking about
recently
houses on the
sold,
market that sold.
recently sold local properties like for like, that have recently sold, not properties that are on the market that are still available for sale, not properties that are under offer, properties that have actually exchanged hands. Um, and I often ask homeowners, how did the agent that you instructed arrive at their valuation? And the number one answer they give me is they didn't. They just trusted the figure that the agent gave them. And I implore any homeowner watching this, before you put your property on the market, before you decide on which agents you're going to see, please, 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 it's not difficult. It's not it's not long. It's not a long-winded process. Do your own research so that in your example, if you have an agent that comes in either way too high or way too low, you can call them out there and then, and
The
go
only
with the
problem you've
agent.
got, the only problem
Yeah,
you've got with that, unfortunately,
yeah,
is that people call out estate agents thinking that they are all going to be professional.
yeah,
Don't forget that first impression, all agents are the same. So there's a lot of, I wouldn't say trust, but there's a lot of belief in, an agent will come out and will, I wouldn't say spin them a story, but we'll turn around and we, passion and say deliver a figure. And so, yeah, we've got people, we've got buyers, we've sold properties around the area.
yeah.
And I can understand people that will fall for
All
that.
for
And I
that.
can understand
Yeah,
people that take it on board because that's what the agent told us.
yeah.
So it is a minefield for people that are selling because they haven't got the skill sets and understand exactly where we come from. And as I said to you, like, we get invited into people's homes. Um, you've got to go through and you've got to sit down with people and take them through that journey when you first meet them to say to them, this is where you arrive at the figures. This is how I'm going to get you the price. This is how I work. Then sit down and make sure they understand that. Are you happy with that? Do you understand what I'm going to do and how the process is going to work for you? If you've got that, that's when you can take it to the next stage.